There's a creation story I watched by a guy called Jim Dumont, Dumont. He's Native American, Native Canadian. I can never remember the names of the people there or how to pronounce them if I can. But anyway, he begins this creation story by saying he'd been waiting in the audience while they were doing other things. Then he said, while I was waiting, this thought passed over my mind, which is that everyone has a right to feel good about themselves. And that's a great thought, and it really tied in with the creation myth that he then told, their people's creation story, which is that the Creator made people and he gave them all particular gifts for them to run with. And they were special to him. The peoples are special. Yeah. They received his thoughts. Yeah, he created them so that we would receive his thoughts. Anyway, so it's this idea that as an individual, you're cared for, you're loved by whatever it is that created us. And you can put that in various different ways. You can call it God, you can call it the Creator, you can call it the matrix of the universe, whatever it is. But it has that kind of sacred quality to it. And that sacred means that which holds highest value for us. And life is that which has the highest value. And so it was very much a theme of this creation myth, or reflected by the theme of this creation story, that everyone has a right to feel good about themselves. And you can see why he might be saying that, because if you're a Native American, well, you're second class nowadays, aren't you? I mean, it's not stated, you get given a special name, Native American. They kind of put you on a pedestal, but actually you're down there. You're lower ranking. And it can be hard to feel good about yourself when you're treated in that kind of way. I mean, there is a natural ranking to things based on merit and earned competence and achievement, but that's different. This is a looking down on people. And if you're looked down on as a people, it's hard to feel good about yourself. And so he was making that point. And of course, we suffer from that in the dominant culture as well, in our own way. We had it with Christianity for centuries. Original sin. Yeah, you're a sinner. That's how you start out. Yeah, you don't start out with a clean slate. You start out as a sinner. And so that's a good one for us to remember as well. And also, it's not just Christianity. You may well have been told, or picked up the message, unless you're like this, that, and the other, you're not a valid person. Well, that's just how society tends to work. We treat that as a brainwashing and pressure and all the rest of it, but that's just people being people and the collective being the collective and creating the matrix within which people can live, but it gets shoulds and oughts around it too. So that's the main thing that I want to say in this video, is that we all have a right to feel good about ourselves because we were made that way. We are part of that bigger spirit that is the universe. And feel good about that. Feel your own sacredness. Feel your own uniqueness. And I think this is the second point I want to make, which is that extends to the people you belong to. I'd say every people has a right to feel good about itself. In fact, it's important that we do. So in the case of the Native Americans, well, they get put down as a people, don't they? So they need to hear that message. But us in the dominant culture, well, I mean, George Orwell said 100 years ago, the English are the only major nation whose intellectuals are ashamed of their nationality. And that's been going on a long time. There's a phenomenon called oikophobia, which is when cultures start to feel contempt towards themselves. It happened in Roman times. There's a book about it. It's a term coined by the philosopher Roger Scruton, and it comes from the Greek oikos, meaning home, and phobia, hatred. Well, primarily it means fear, but this is more to do with hatred. And so we put ourselves down. And it means we put ourselves down individually. And there's a particular way that we do it in the West, which is that we feel bad about our ancestry? Now, human beings, we start with a clean slate. We really shouldn't feel guilty about what our ancestors might or might not have done. And if stuff happens to our ancestors, we shouldn't go on about that too. I mean, I'm half Irish, so I can say this. I think the Irish need to just stop going on about the English. Whatever happened to past generations. Doesn't mean it was right, but you need to just drop these things. Because on the one hand, it stirs ancestral hatreds, and on the other hand, people walking around bowing their heads because of what their ancestors did. You know, Germany's got that strongly because of their Nazi past. Well, they need to forget it. It was their grandparents' generation or even great-grandparents' generation. They need to just drop it. So as a culture, we need to feel good about ourselves. And if you're English, you need to fly a flag, the English flag. The Welsh do it, the Scots do it, the Irish do it, but the English, no, we're not supposed to. And I was watching the historian David Starkey, and he was giving a good analysis the other day of what's going on in Britain, all the rest of it. But then he got to the point where people are bringing out the flags, and he thought, no, this is just bad. This is nationalism. He wrote that off. And that's very common to feel that nationalism's a bad thing. And it's not. It's just about appreciating your own culture. And out of the fullness of your appreciation of your own culture, you appreciate other cultures. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a win-win game. It's the opposite. We treat it as a zero-sum game, which means there's only one winner and everyone else loses. It's not like that. And this ties into oikophobia because it's also a particular cultural stage when a culture's maybe been peaceful and prosperous for a long time. Not only does the birth rate start to drop, but the culture can easily start to despise itself, to feel contemptuous towards itself. And this is like a mind virus that we've got. We've certainly got it in England, but you see it right across Europe. And we write off our great people. We find faults in our great people and we pull down their statues. But they were great people. They were people of their time. Yeah, but they were great people. And once you start pulling down the statues, that's almost like the end of your civilization, the end of your society, because you no longer are able to value where you come from and value your foundations. So value the English flag. Yeah, it's what we gather round and we appreciate all peoples within it. Yeah, but that's our center. And same if you're Irish, same if you're American, same if you're Native American. Yeah. You know, well, we can belong to more than one culture, yeah, and we appreciate both. We don't set them against each other. We might have a religion too. Well, yeah, we appreciate that, but we run these things alongside each other. So this is all coming out of what Jim Dumont said about every person has a right to feel good about themselves. And it's the same for every culture too. And it's time we stood up again, yeah, acknowledged our worth as a culture. Stop feeling guilty about the past. Stop letting other people tell us that wretched message that people get told. You know, it's almost a sign of sophistication to put down your culture if you're English. It's not good. Okay, I think I've probably said all I have to say for this one for now.